What is going on, everybody? This is your boy Kazak here, and today I am back with a fighting game video. Yes, I know it's been a long ass time since I made a fighting game video. I haven't made one since at the beginning of January, I think. When I was talking about like games, like fighting games that need to come back and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that was like the last time. But anyways, I'm here with this video because I wanted to talk about the current state of fighting games. And the biggest thing that I kind of the thing I wanted to ask more specifically to the audience and to myself as well is like, have fighting games become stagnant? Is it getting to a point where fighting games right now are not really hitting as hard as they used to? Like, is there a actual problem going on with a lot of these games? Because I've been noticing that like there's just been things about fighting games right now that haven't been rubbing me the right way. You know, the most popular example, of course, being Tekken 8, which holy shit, man. This game, Tekken 8, has been going through so much bullshit that it's almost not even funny, but it kind of is, because I remember playing Tekken 8 at the beginning of like its life when, you know, I played it. I enjoyed my time with it. Yeah, there were some little things I didn't like. Like, I do think that the heat system and stuff was annoying, and I'm still not a big fan of this particular system, but it was manageable. I could learn it, and I knew how to kind of like navigate around it. Where, okay, I know this person is going to rely heavily on heat or rage, so I know how to circumvent that by, you know, reading into them and knowing like when they're going to do that type of stuff. But with season 2, it just seems like all that stuff got even worse and far crazier. And it's not just season 2 specifically. I just don't like the overall direction that Tekken 8 has gone through, whether it be through the microtransaction stuff like with the Tekken shop, which I absolutely dislike a lot because Tekken has never done something like this before. And the fact that they put this into the game without really being transparent with the audience that like, hey, this is going to be a system that's going to be in the game. That was a lame move. I didn't like that either. I also didn't like the fact that characters like Heihachi came back, even though they clearly stated that he was dead and was not returning the next game. But of course, they had to retcon it with some random plot armory Deus Ex Machina nonsense reasoning to put him back into Tekken 8. And I feel like if you're gonna do something like that, don't waste our time by trying to like kill off popular characters that are obviously not going to die. Like, if you're just gonna bring them back because people love these characters, don't bother doing that, especially in fighting games. You know, people want to play as their favorite characters. They don't like seeing their characters die and all that stupid stuff. Like, just leave them alone. Stop trying to do these kind of like ambitious story modes where, you know, we know that these characters are never going to actually die because of the fact that like a lot of people love them. People care too much for these characters to actually go through with it. So I don't like that trope. I think they need to cut that out because it's just a waste of time. And, you know, granted, Tekken is not really the best when it comes to story. I know that, but sometimes people get invested into Tekken's story. They want us to be invested into it. And, you know, when they do a poor job, we still have to criticize it, okay? Just because we know that Tekken has always never been good with story doesn't necessarily mean that we can't critique them for, you know, not doing a good job with the story. You know, a story is still a story. People want to enjoy it, and people love these characters for a reason. And they want to have good stories for these characters. So it's perfectly reasonable to criticize that aspect of Tekken. What was another thing? Oh yeah, they announced Fakuram just pretty recently, like a few days ago. I'm gonna be honest, I don't like his character that much. If he even has a character, I don't know. To me, him and Lydia are like the most boring, basic characters that have like no personality at all to me. Maybe it's just because I haven't seen their story modes or anything like that. I don't even know if Fakuram has a story, to be honest. I know Lydia kind of does, but her personality and her character is just so bland. I honestly don't know why people like this chick so much. I don't get it. I think her character is just so freaking boring. But no, like with all the things going on with Tekken 8, it just sort of feels like that this game has been very, very lackluster, and it just seems like the team are just not listening to what people are saying, and that's why I've tapped out of Tekken a long time ago, and that's really sad to say because I am a big Tekken fan. I grew up playing Tekken, and I grew up in that time where a lot of people looked at Tekken like it was the absolute shit. Like this was like the top dog of fighting games right alongside Street Fighter. And I've always been more of a Tekken fan than I ever been like a Street Fighter fan. So it kind of sucks to see that my personal favorite fighting game series is kind of going through this situation right now. So that really sucks. As for Street Fighter 6, I've been having a great time with Street Fighter 6. I feel like it's the only fighting game right now that's kind of doing everything right. Granted, I know some people kind of have their little issues about the game, like throw loops and everything, and the fact that content takes a little too long to come out for the game. But I see those as very, very minor issues compared to what we're seeing with the Tekken community. And Street Fighter 6 is doing its absolute best to keep people entertained and to bring out more content and to just generally make the game feel more fun than previous entries, especially Street Fighter 5, which was an absolute train wreck. So yeah, when it comes to Street Fighter 6, not too much to say on that game in particular. I like the way that it's going. The recent fighting game that came out for me that honestly I was pretty disappointed by is Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. Now, I'm not really the biggest SNK fan in the world. I'm more of a casual SNK fan. I have played games like the King of Fighters series and Samurai Showdown, and I do enjoy those games a lot. So when I went into Fatal Fury, I had a lot of expectations, and when I played it, I played the beta, and I don't know, something about the gameplay just didn't really feel that fun to me. It sort of felt like as if, a lot of the things that I enjoyed about King of Fighters was like how fast-paced everything was and how you had multiple characters and everything. This one feels more traditional, and I think because of the fact that it's not like King of Fighters, I'm kind of having like a harder time trying to enjoy the game and all that stuff. Don't get wrong, I don't think City of the Wolves is a bad game at all. In fact, I think it is a good fighting game for what it is. They have, clearly, I don't want to take away any of the effort that SNK has been doing, because clearly, City of the Wolves looks beautiful. The graphics are amazing. And you can tell that there is passion there. There is a lot of effort and love that went into making this game. I think the biggest thing that kind of soils the game for me a little bit is when they added stuff like the guest characters like Ronaldo and Salvatore and all that stuff. And listen, I'm not saying that having these kind of guest characters are bad, because it's not. I'm not saying that you can't ever enjoy these characters. It's just that for me personally, whenever you have these kind of guest characters that are based off of real life people and stuff, it's just it feels a little forced. I think it is definitely one of those things where it feels too forced in, and I don't want this to be a prevalent thing to become prevalent in the fighting game circle where the next, let's say the next Tekken character for 8 it's gonna be who we gonna put in there? Kendrick. Imagine they put Kendrick in Tekken 8. That would be one of the most funniest thing ever. The more I think about it, actually. Let me stop before I get too crazy with that. But no, I'm not a big fan of the idea of having real life sort of characters be into fighting. Now, I do understand the appeal behind it. I get why they do that. It's just, for me, I don't know who is sitting out here looking at a real life person in a fighting game, and they're like, you know what? Since this character's in the game, I'm going to play a fighting game, and I'm going to get super into it. I don't think that's how most casual people are thinking. A lot of casual people are going to look at it, be like, hey, this is pretty cool. I'm going to play the game. And then they're probably going to drop it. At least that's based off of what I've seen from characters like this. Now, it depends on certain games and certain characters and stuff. If you introduce characters like video game characters, I think are way different than having real life characters, because there is a little bit of crossover there where people that play Final Fantasy, for example, they play video games. They play different types of games. So that type of audience is going to be more open to playing a game like Tekken than say a random person who probably has never played a fighting game or bunch of video games in general, looking at characters like Ronaldo in City of Wolves and being like, you know what, I'm gonna play this video game because it has, one of my favorite sports players or whatever in there. So I just feel like that whole thing is just kind of like, it's not really doing much for me. Okay, so this is Future Kazak speaking here, and I just wanted to add in one more point regarding the whole fighting game guest character situation. And I also wanted to shout out my friend Duradan, who brought up a very excellent point when it comes to this whole situation. And that is whenever you insert a real life character, like a celebrity or something, into these games, you have to face the potential reality that whatever happens to this person in real life, if there's any bad negative press or something really horrible about this person comes out, guess what? Companies have to deal with the fact that they essentially immortalize this person into their video game, and it would reflect absolutely negatively on them as a company. Now, I imagine if situations like this happens, I will hope that the companies will have enough integrity to remove these characters or these type of people from their games, so that way we wouldn't have to, deal with that kind of controversy. But you have to look at it and see that this is a real thing that could potentially happen, and that is a risk, especially if you're going to be adding these type of celebrity type of people into your games. That's always something you will have to consider and understand. You know, I imagine for some people that might not sound like a big deal, but you know, listen, okay, I just don't think this is a good route in general for game companies to take, because again, they're only going to, like, sure, there's benefits for them, but at the same time, there's also a risk at the same time. So I would really just kind of suggest that these companies truly evaluate whether or not this is actually worth the potential benefits and all that stuff. I would just have to wonder about that. Okay, that's really all I wanted to say here. Let's cut back into the video. So yeah, I don't want to necessarily say like the game's bad because of the fact that there's like those two guest characters in there. It's just like, to me it feels a little bit forced, and I don't have problems with people that do enjoy the character. I just don't like the inclusion of these characters and what they mean in the long run. You know what I'm saying? Um, what other fighting games I want to talk about too? Oh yeah, Virtual Fighter 6. Even though it's not called Virtual Fighter 6, it's just called Virtual Fighter Project, but we all know it's the sixth game. Excuse me. We had Wolf. They showed off him, and I'm not gonna lie, this dude looks so much like Ganondorf from Legend of Zelda. It's almost kind of funny. Like, so many people are memeing about the fact that this dude Wolf looks like Ganondorf, and I'm like, yeah, I see the comparison. I see it, man. I really see the comparison. But he looks cool though. I like the way that he looks. I really want to see like characters like Kage and Sarah and Pi. I really want to see how they look in this new Virtual Fighter engine, because from what we're seeing so far, just based off of Wolf, if this is going to be like the type of presentation we're going to be getting for all the characters, oh boy, man, Virtual Fire looks like it's going to be a crazy freaking time. It looks like it is going to be really, really solid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to Virtual Fighter and hearing more about it. And yeah, that's it on Virtual Fighter. Like, there's not really that much information to go off of, because again, they're still working on the game and everything. So yeah, Guilty Gear. I wanted to talk about Guilty Gear as well. I'm gonna be honest, I have not kept up with Guilty Gear at all either. I know they announced like that new female character who was like in the anime, which I also have not watched. I don't know, when it comes to Guilty Gear Strive, something about Strive to me just feels a little bit I don't know, it just doesn't feel as fun as like, Guilty Gear Xrd or like Guilty Gear XX Action Core or anything like that. It just, I don't know, maybe the gameplay just doesn't really appeal to me that much anymore, which is kind of a shame, because I am like, I love Guilty Gear, and I love all the characters and the gameplay and stuff, but With Strive, I don't know. I feel like I kind of got burnt out on that game. I don't know. Maybe I might have to get back into it at some point, but it just feels like as if it's just it's kind of there. I know that they announced that Lucy from Cyberpunk was going to be a guest character, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't care too much about this character or from the show that she's from. I don't really care too much about that. I was hoping that Jam would become playable in the game, but unfortunately, we still haven't gotten her, and I don't think she probably at this point probably ever won't be in the game. As disappointed as that may be, but I don't want to discredit anything from Guilty Gear Strive because it's been doing pretty decent. It's been doing its own thing. Um, Honestly, I think I get more fun from like Grand Blue not Relink, Grand Blue versus Rising that I do with Guilty Gear right now, which is unfortunate to say, but I don't know. To me, Grand Blue is just doing a lot of things better than Guilty Gear for me in terms of playstyle, in terms of having really cool, awesome characters in the game, and like I feel like there's just so much more like things going on with Grand Blue that's catching my interest rather than this game. So yeah, I'm going over a lot of these fighting games right now just to kind of like talk about them and give you guys my thoughts on like their latest news and iterations and stuff like that. Because I'm gonna be really honest with y'all. I mean, it's pretty obvious by this point, but I have not been really keeping. I haven't really been keeping too much tabs on like everything fighting game related going on, just because of the fact that like there hasn't really been too much stuff going on, and I feel like there is a little bit of stagnation going on with fighting games where it seems like they're kind of just doing more of the same. They're trying to do things where they want to like make the mechanics more simpler for people to enjoy and to understand and all that stuff. And it's just like, I don't think that type of stuff is necessary, especially since like even for games that do that, like Tekken 8 and stuff, it's not hitting. People are not enjoying the game like that. So I don't know. To me, it just feels like that fighting games are a little bit in a weird place right now where there hasn't been anything that's really broken through yet outside of Street Fighter 6 and been like super crazy. Oh my god, I haven't even mentioned Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1, it still exists, surprisingly. It still exists. But no, just in general, fighting games, I think they've just gotten to a point where they just became too samey. And I think because of the fact that there is such a massive barrier behind these games and stuff where they prioritize the competitive scene so highly and so much to the point where like a lot of people that are just getting into it, some people are just not really seeing the value in playing these games. And again, I enjoy a little bit of competitive competition and a little bit of casual play as well when it comes to fighting games. I'm not like one side or the other. I just enjoy fighting games for what they are, even if I'm not great at them. I just appreciate it for what it is. And right now, I feel like there hasn't been too many fighting games that reached that have impressed me. Like there's very, very few. The only exceptions I could think of was like Street Fighter 6 and Grand Blue Versus, and that's about it. Everything else has just kind of been like, not too much to talk about, And it's unfortunate to say that because, I was really hoping Tekken 8 would be the game that was going to get me super into playing fighting games again, but it wasn't. And that's a little bit disappointing. So, yeah, I just wanted to get on here just to give you guys my personal thoughts about the current state of fighting games right now and, give you guys my 2 cents on everything. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you guys think that fighting games have been too samey? Do you think there's like an issue going on with fighting games? Have they stagnated? Or do you think they're going perfectly fine? I'm curious to see what you guys think in the comment section. Either way, this is your boy Kazak, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.